Welcome back to Empire of Shadows. In the last part, the first moves were set on the board. The bargains, the handshakes, and the knives hidden behind smiles all began to surface. The political game, tightening its grip on the Trump family. And now, in part 5, we dive even deeper into the counterattacks, the schemes piled higher, and the price to be paid in blood. If you're ready, sit down and fasten the seatbelt around your heart. And don't forget, if you enjoy this, drop a heart. If you don't, just hit like, because who knows, that one click might leave your mark on the board of power itself. Now, let's step into part 5, where the bloodstained chessboard finally comes to life. Morning crept into New York, but inside the Trump estate, dawn did not bring peace. It brought fire. The Herald screamed across its front page, "Trump Foundation, Shadow of Medellin." The ink was thick, black, merciless. Coffee cooled on the table, untouched. The headline cut deeper than any blade. Marco's fist slammed down. One lie, just one, and the city swallows it whole. Garrido writes, and they believe. He spits, and they cheer. Lucia's voice rose steady, her hands folded tight. Noise fades, Marco. But silence. Silence can be louder than screams. Sometimes holding your breath is deadlier than striking back. Marco snapped, fire in his chest. Silence? While they smear father as a Medellin banker, Donario lifted his cane. A single tap on the marble floor echoed like a drumbeat. Listen. A blade that waits does not vanish, it only sharpens, and when it moves, it will cut deeper. Isabella's rosary glimmered in the pale light. Her tone was quiet but sharp. Then let us grip the blade correctly. Hold it wrong, and we bleed. Hold it right, and the enemy falls. The family sank into silence. The newspaper lay on the table, its ink heavy as blood. That night, Enzo returned. His words slid across the room like knives. Luis Herrera. He carried the papers to the Herald. Garrido's man. A rat. Marco's jaw tightened. Then let me silence him. Enzo set a revolver on the table. No, he breathes. Donario wants truth, not a corpse. Bring him back alive. Marco's eyes burned. To let him breathe is to let him laugh at us. Donario's voice cut through the dark. Blood is cheap, information priceless. Bring me the gold. Midnight fell over the Bronx. A warehouse stood under a broken sky, its roof leaking shadows. Luis Herrera waited inside, clutching a briefcase, nerves twitching. The bulb above him flickered like a dying heartbeat. Marco's men closed in from the dark. Luis, Donario wants a word. Engines roared outside. The gates crashed open. Garrido's men, Santos's men. Fire exploded into the night. Bullets tore through crates. Steel screamed. The air filled with smoke and dust. Marco moved like a storm. His pistol thundered. One man down, then another. A blade came at him. He snapped a wrist, crushed a throat. Luis bolted for the door. Marco's hand caught his collar, dragging him back into the chaos. When silence fell, the ground was littered with bodies. Only breath and blood remained. Luis on his knees, trembling. Marco pressed the gun to his skull. Talk, or die here. By dawn, Luis sat in the cellar of the Trump estate, bound to a chair, sweat on his brow, terror in his eyes. Donario stood before him, cane steady. Lucia and Isabella flanked his sides. Marco's shadow lingered in the corner, dark and furious. Luis stuttered, "Garrido! Garrido paid me." Santos, too. They promised protection. They told me, if I leaked the papers, the Herald would finish you. Marco's pistol pressed harder against his head. "You'll beg for death before sunrise." Donario raised his hand. "Enough. He lives. A corpse cannot testify. Marco's fist smashed against the wall. The house shook with his rage. Isabella's voice was calm, almost cold. He is just a pawn. The hand behind him remains. Donario leaned closer, eyes fixed on Luis. No pawn moves alone. He breathes. He leads us to the hand. The sun climbed over Manhattan. The herald boasted. The foundation bled. But in the Trump estate, silence reigned. And Donario spoke last. His words were iron. Politics is a double-edged blade. One side cuts the enemy, the other cuts the fool who holds it wrong. But never forget. He tapped his cane once, eyes sharp as steel. No one grips a blade better than those who live in blood. The cellar was dim. A single lamp swung above the table, throwing long, restless shadows across the stone walls. Luis Herrera still sat bound to his chair. His lips trembled. His eyes searched for mercy. Donario's cane tapped. Names, roots, who handed you the papers, who pays you? Luis swallowed hard. At first, silence. Then his voice cracked open. Garrido gave me the files. Santos delivered the money. They said the herald would bury you. I only carried them. I swear it. Lucia stepped forward. Her tone was cold. And why the herald? Who there took your call? Luis hesitated, but Enzo's shadow shifted and the pause broke. A junior, young, hungry. They didn't even question me. They printed it blind. Enzo set a recorder on the table. The red light blinked. Repeat it, word for word. Luis trembled, but he spoke. Every detail, every name, every promise of money. The recorder blinked steady, a confession carved in fear. By dawn, the tape was in trusted hands, not shouted from rooftops, but whispered into the right ears. Rumors spread across New York. Luis Herrera admits the documents were false. The Trump Foundation framed. Garrido behind the curtain. Small papers retracted. The Herald stammered about internal review. And for the first time, Garrido's name crossed the airwaves. At the estate, Lucia's lips curved into a thin smile. A confession bleeds slower than a bullet, but it stains longer. Donario's gaze stayed on the paper. This is not victory. This is smoke, and smoke draws fire. That evening word reached them. A reporter tied to Garrido had vanished. No trace, no witness, and days later, Luis himself was gone. Some said witness protection. Others whispered the Hudson had swallowed him whole. No one knew. Lucia turned to her father. We promised him safety. What is the cost of our word? Donario's reply was heavy. The cost is the same as power. Too high for comfort, too low to stop paying. Enzo moved in the shadows. One copy hidden here, one delivered there. The confession would not vanish, not while he drew breath. Late at night, Donario stood by the window. Smoke curled against the glass. We've thrown a stone at a sleeping man's face. Now we wait. Will he wake in rage, or will the earth itself tremble beneath him? The house stood awake. The storm was only beginning. Manhattan woke under fog. The Herald had pulled its story, but rot spread in new ink. A reporter who had followed the foundation was dead. Police called it suicide, but everyone knew. Lucia faced the cameras that morning. Her voice never shook. The foundation remains transparent. Every number can be verified. She turned the storm into a stage. And when the cameras cut, the foundation looked unbroken. That night, the family gathered at the long table. Food untouched. Marco's fist thundered. They kill one of ours, and we sit silent. I'll answer Garrido in blood. Lucia's reply was sharp. Blood feeds their lies. One corpse, and they stamp it with our name. Isabella's rosary glimmered in the candlelight. Her words were cool. Law and blood. Both have their time. Spill too soon, and it's wasted. Spill at the right moment, and it crowns you. Donario tapped his cane. The board is wide. Pawns fall. Queens threaten. The king moves slow. We answer with both, but only when the board demands it. Elsewhere, Garrido and Santos plotted. Newark docks. A blast. The trail will point to Trump. Their laughter clung like smoke. Days later, Marco's car exploded in flame, but he crawled out, bloodied, alive. He swore, "Garrido dies by my hand." Enzo pulled him back. That's their trap. They want your rage. Step wrong, and you give them the war they want. Midnight, Donario's study. A cigar glowed between his fingers. He stared at the chessboard, pieces scattered. We will let them think we hide. Let them think we fear. And when their blade comes close, he closed his hand around the Black King. This knife will cut their throat before it ever touches ours. The night held its breath, and the board waited for the next move. This is Ping.Stories. I'll always be here with you, bringing thrilling tales. That's all for tonight. Sleep well and get ready, because the next episode will take you even deeper. Goodbye for now, and see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss what's coming. Ping.Stories, where stories never sleep.